Two families made identical offers on identical houses in identical neighborhoods on the same day, same down payment, same loan terms, same closing timeline. Both hired professional home inspectors who charged nearly the same fees. 5 years later, one family has spent $47,000 on repairs they didn't see coming, foundation issues, electrical problems, a roof replacement that couldn't wait. They're drowning in home equity loans and considering selling at a loss. The other family spent $3,200 total on maintenance over the same period, routine stuff, expected wear and tear. Their home's value increased steadily, and they sleep soundly knowing nothing catastrophic is lurking behind their walls. The difference wasn't luck. Both inspectors showed up, walked through the properties, and delivered reports. But only one inspection actually protected the buyer. The other was theater, a checkbox exercise that missed everything that mattered. This is the home inspection lie. Not that inspections are scams, they're not. The lie is that hiring any licensed inspector gives you protection. It doesn't. Most home inspections are designed to protect the inspector from liability, not to protect you from expensive surprises. Let me show you what actually happened with these two families, starting with Bryce. Bryce found his dream house. 3 bedrooms, great school district, move-in ready according to the listing. He did everything right. He hired a home inspector his real estate agent recommended. The inspector arrived on time, spent 3 hours at the property, and delivered a 40-page report 2 days later. The report looked thorough. Dozens of photos, technical language, observations about every room, every system, every visible component. Bryce felt confident. A professional had examined his future home and found only minor issues. Cosmetic stuff, nothing alarming. Closing happened without drama. Bryce moved in excited and relieved. 6 months later, he noticed cracks forming in the basement walls, small at first, then widening. He called a foundation specialist who delivered devastating news. The house had significant settling problems that would cost $28,000 to repair properly. The cracks weren't new. They'd been there during the inspection, just covered by strategically placed storage boxes. Bryce pulled out his inspection report. Surely the inspector had noted foundation concerns. He found the section, "Foundation appears functional. No immediate concerns observed." That was it. One sentence about the most expensive system in the entire house. He called the inspector, furious. The inspector was sympathetic but firm. His contract included a clause limiting liability to the cost of the inspection itself, about $450. The report had disclaimers on every page. Not responsible for concealed conditions, visual inspection only. No warranties expressed or implied. Bryce had paid for protection and received documentation. Those are different things. The electrical problems came next. Outlets that didn't work, breakers that tripped randomly, lights that flickered. An electrician discovered aluminum wiring throughout the house, a known fire hazard that insurance companies hate. Rewiring the entire house cost $12,000. The inspection report mentioned the electrical panel. Appears to meet current standards. No safety concerns noted. The inspector never tested outlets, never opened junction boxes, never identified the aluminum wiring that any thorough inspection should have caught. Then, the roof. 3 years in, Bryce noticed water stains on the ceiling. A roofer climbed up and found shingles that were already at the end of their lifespan during the original inspection. The roof needed complete replacement, another $15,000. The inspection report had photos of the roof. Shingles show normal wear, estimated 5 to 7 years remaining lifespan. The roofer laughed when Bryce showed him that estimate. "This roof was done 3 years ago," he said. "Your inspector either didn't know what he was looking at or didn't want to kill your deal." That phrase stuck with Bryce. Didn't want to kill your deal. He started researching home inspection practices and discovered something that changed how he understood the entire transaction. Most home inspectors get their business from real estate agent referrals. An agent who closes deals refers that inspector to future clients. An inspector who finds major problems kills deals. Agents stop referring inspectors who kill too many deals. The incentive structure rewards inspectors who find enough small issues to look thorough, while missing the expensive problems that might make buyers walk away. This isn't conspiracy theory, it's basic economics. An inspector who tanks 30% of deals by finding serious issues will get fewer referrals than an inspector who tanks 5% of deals. Both inspectors might be equally competent, but one understands how to stay employed. Bryce had hired an inspector his agent recommended. That inspector's business model depended on keeping that agent happy. Finding catastrophic problems doesn't keep agents happy. Of difficult, they paid more. Waited of difficult, they paid more, waited longer for availability, and got a completely different experience. That inspector found problems the sellers didn't know existed. The deal almost fell apart twice. Negotiations got tense. But when that family moved in, they knew exactly what they were buying. The question isn't whether to get a home inspection. The question is whether you're getting actual protection or expensive theater. Most buyers can't tell the difference until it's too late. What made that second inspection different? 3 specific things that most buyers never think to look for. First, credentials that actually mattered. The second family's inspector carried certifications from multiple independent organizations, not just the basic state license that anyone can get with a weekend course, but advanced credentials that required years of experience and rigorous testing. He was a licensed structural engineer who did inspections on the side, not someone who became an inspector because they couldn't make it in construction. The first inspector Bryce hired had a license and a website. That's where most buyers stop checking. But a license is a minimum threshold, not a guarantee of competence. It means someone passed a test and paid fees. It doesn't mean they know how to identify problems that sellers desperately want hidden. Second, the contract language was completely different. Bryce's inspector had liability caps and disclaimers everywhere. The second family's inspector carried a $1 million errors and omissions policy, and his contract explicitly stated he would be liable for missed defects up to the policy limits. He wasn't hiding behind legal language because he didn't need to. His work could withstand scrutiny. When an inspector limits liability to the cost of the inspection, they're telling you something important. They're saying their work isn't worth more than the few $100s you're paying. They're pre-admitting that mistakes will happen and you'll have no recourse. That's not protection. That's a waiver you're signing before you even know what you're waiving. Third, the time commitment was radically different. Bryce's inspection took 2.5 hours. The second family's inspection took 6 hours. Their inspector brought specialized equipment, thermal imaging cameras to detect water intrusion and insulation problems, moisture meters for every suspicious area, electrical testing equipment beyond a basic outlet tester. He crawled through the entire attic and inspected every accessible area of the crawl space. Bryce's inspector walked through the house with a flashlight and a clipboard. He took photos from the ground. He spent maybe 15 minutes in the basement. The attic? He poked his head up through the access panel and took a picture. That's not an inspection. That's a tour. But here's what nobody tells buyers about the inspection process. Even a thorough inspector has limitations that make the entire practice less valuable than people assume. Inspectors can only see what's visible. They can't open walls. They can't dig up sewer lines. They can't test every system under every condition. A roof might look fine on a sunny day and leak catastrophically during the next heavy rain. Plumbing might work perfectly during the inspection and fail when multiple fixtures run simultaneously. The inspection happens at a single point in time under specific conditions. It's a snapshot, not a comprehensive analysis. And that snapshot has an expiration date that nobody discusses. Most inspection reports include language like conditions may change and recommend monitoring. That's code for this is accurate today, but I'm not responsible for what happens tomorrow. Fair enough. Things do change, but buyers treat inspection reports like they're buying a certified pre-owned vehicle with a warranty. They're not. They're buying a used house with a written opinion about its condition on one particular afternoon. Bryce learned this the hard way when his HVAC system failed 8 months after moving in. The inspection report said the system appeared to be functioning properly. It was, on that day, with mild weather and minimal demand. Nobody ran it hard enough to discover that the compressor was on its last legs. The HVAC company explained that the inspector couldn't have known without specialized diagnostic equipment and stress testing that goes beyond standard inspections. Replacing the system cost $8,000. Bryce called his inspector, who pointed to the contract language about systems appearing functional at time of inspection. Legally, he was covered. Practically, Bryce was out $8,000. This is the gap between what buyers think they're purchasing and what they're actually receiving. They think they're buying certainty. They're actually buying a professional opinion with significant limitations and minimal accountability. So what's the alternative? Should buyers skip inspections entirely and save the money? No, but they should understand what they're really getting and adjust their expectations accordingly. An inspection identifies obvious problems and red flags. It doesn't guarantee you won't face expensive surprises. It reduces risk, but doesn't eliminate it. That's still valuable, but it's not the ironclad protection most buyers believe they've purchased. The second family understood this distinction. They used their thorough inspection as a negotiating tool and a data point, not as a guarantee. When issues emerged later, they had savings set aside because they assumed problems would surface eventually. That assumption proved correct, but they were prepared. Bryce assumed the inspection meant he wouldn't face major expenses. When those expenses hit, he was blindsided financially and emotionally. Same house buying process, radically different outcomes based entirely on expectations and preparation. There's one more element of home inspections that matters more than the inspection itself, and it's something most buyers completely ignore until they're trapped. The thing is, even if you hire the world's most thorough inspector and they find every problem that exists, you still face a decision that determines whether any of it actually protects you. You found problems during the inspection. Now what? Do you walk away? Do you ask the seller to fix everything? Do you negotiate a price reduction? Do you accept the house as is? Most buyers handle this decision emotionally rather than strategically. They see a list of issues and panic, demanding the seller address every item on the report. Or they trust the seller's assurance that these are minor things and proceed without adjustment. Both approaches usually backfire. Sellers aren't going to fix anything properly unless they're legally required to. When they do make repairs after inspection negotiations, they hire the cheapest contractor available and do the minimum necessary to technically address the issue, that leaking window. They'll caulk it. The proper fix requires removing trim, investigating water damage, possibly replacing framing, then reinstalling everything correctly. The seller's handyman will squeeze some caulk around the edges and call it done. Bryce negotiated for the seller to repair the grading issues and install proper drainage. The seller hired someone who pushed some dirt around and called it fixed. The next heavy rain revealed that nothing had actually been solved. Bryce called the listing agent, who explained that the seller had fulfilled their obligation by hiring a contractor to address the issue. The work was done. That it didn't actually solve the problem wasn't the seller's concern anymore. This is why experienced buyers don't ask sellers to fix anything. They ask for money instead, a credit at closing or a price reduction that lets them hire their own contractors after moving in. Do the work right, on their timeline, with contractors they've vetted. The math works better too. That grading issue might cost $4,000 to fix properly. The seller will spend $800 on a Band-Aid repair and claim they've addressed it. Ask for a $4,000 credit instead. You get the full amount needed for proper repairs. The seller saves money compared to hiring contractors. Everyone wins except the problem, which actually gets solved. But here's where it gets tricky. How do you know which issues warrant negotiation and which ones are just noise? Every inspection report contains a mix of legitimate concerns, routine maintenance items, and CYA observations that don't actually matter. The structural crack is legitimate. The missing outlet cover plate is noise. The water heater nearing the end of its expected lifespan is somewhere in between. Buyers who treat every item equally end up making unreasonable demands that sellers reject. Buyers who can't distinguish important from trivial end up overlooking problems that will cost them significantly. This is where having your own contractor review the inspection report becomes valuable. Not the inspector, a contractor who actually fixes these things. Show them the report. Ask what items need immediate attention versus what can wait. Ask for rough cost estimates. That transforms a list of concerns into a prioritized action plan with actual numbers attached. Bryce didn't do this. He assumed the inspector's notes about the foundation crack being worth monitoring meant it wasn't urgent. A structural engineer would have told him that particular crack pattern indicated active settling that would worsen. By the time Bryce called an engineer, the repair cost had tripled from what it would have been at purchase. The second family had a contractor review their inspection report before negotiations. They identified 3 issues requiring immediate attention, totaling roughly $12,000 in repairs. They asked for a $15,000 credit. The seller countered at $10,000. They settled at $12,500. The family had the work done properly within the first month of ownership. No surprises, no emergency repairs, no discovering that the fixed problem wasn't actually fixed. Same inspection process, completely different negotiation strategy, entirely different outcomes. Let me tell you what nobody mentions about inspection negotiations. The seller is preparing to leave. They don't care about the house anymore. They care about closing the deal and moving on. This creates a fundamental misalignment of incentives. You want problems solved correctly because you're about to live there for years. They want problems to appear solved enough that you don't kill the deal. Understanding this dynamic changes how you approach negotiations. Don't trust their fixes. Don't accept their contractor recommendations. Don't believe that they've addressed issues properly just because they showed you a receipt. Get cash instead. Handle everything yourself. The inspection isn't protection. It's information. What you do with that information determines whether it actually protects you or just gives you a false sense of security. Most buyers get the information, misinterpret its limitations, negotiate poorly, and end up exactly where they would have been without the inspection, except they're $500 poorer and considerably more confident that they've protected themselves. Bryce spent $500 on an inspection, thousands on negotiated repairs that didn't actually fix anything, then tens of thousands on proper repairs after moving in. The inspection didn't protect him. It documented problems that he failed to address strategically. The second family spent $500 on an inspection, got cash at closing, hired their own contractors, and moved into a house where every known issue had been properly resolved on their terms. Same inspection service, radically different understanding of what inspections actually provide and how to leverage them effectively. That difference is the gap between buying a house successfully and buying an expensive collection of future problems. The inspection is just information. What matters is whether you know how to use it. That's the real difference between buyers who get protection and buyers who get theater. It's not about finding the perfect inspector who catches everything. It's about understanding that inspections are starting points, not finish lines. They give you leverage if you know how to use it and false confidence if you don't. Bryce thought hiring an inspector meant he'd bought protection. He actually bought information he didn't know how to interpret or act on strategically. The second family understood they were buying a snapshot of problems they'd need to address themselves with cash they'd negotiate at closing. Most buyers will hire an inspector their agent recommends, skim the report, ask the seller to fix a few things, and assume they're protected. Then they'll spend the next decade discovering what their inspection actually missed or what their negotiated repairs didn't actually solve. By then, the inspector is unreachable. The seller is long gone, and the only person left holding the bill is the buyer who thought they'd done everything right. The inspection lie isn't that inspections are worthless. It's that hiring any inspector and getting any report provides meaningful protection. It doesn't. Protection requires finding an inspector whose incentives align with yours, understanding the limitations of what they can actually tell you, and negotiating strategically based on information rather than emotion. Most buyers skip all 3 steps and wonder why they're blindsided by expensive problems 6 months after closing. Now you know why identical houses with identical inspections produce completely different outcomes. The inspection was never the difference. How buyers understood and used that inspection determined everything that followed.